What's up, guys? Good to see everybody. Is Nick Sweeney here? He's going to tell me I'm late. I'm just coming to this from an interview with my good friend Jason on Magic Keycast. So I've already been talking for a while. I'm already warmed up. Good to see everybody. El Progressives. Good to see him. Good to see you, man. I swear I'm going to get this watch on silent one of these days. Let's see. Happy to live in California and learn about the history of its people. I'm from California too. There's lots of good history there. Let's see. Oh, you're going to be happy with tonight's stream. Nick Sweeney, I knew you were in here. I knew you. I was like, well, I have good reason though. I was working. I'm going right from one interview to being interviewed by Nick Sweeney. Welcome in, everybody. Pet detectives. Good to see you. Terry R. Good to see you. Ellie McFadden. Good to see you. Pennsylvania Plowboy. What's up, man? All right. Well, I'll give it a minute or two. You guys know the drill. So tonight, we will be talking about the Battle of San Pasqual. We talked about it a little bit in the Battles of the Marines live stream, but we have the actual Marines episode coming out this Saturday. It'll be out Friday for members, Saturday morning for everybody else. And then right after that, I'm going to do a question and answer live stream, which I think will be fun. If you have any questions from the episode, you can talk about it. We can talk about whatever, as usual, right? But tonight we'll break down the Battle of San Pasqual in pretty good detail, and you can ask any questions you have. And if you have any conspiracies you want to talk about after that, we can do that. And I also have a number of cakes and pies which have been brought to my attention, not through this show, guys. And we should, up our game a little bit. Throw me some stuff I haven't heard of before, except for Bama Deanna, not you, Bama Deanna. You've told me a bunch of stuff that I've never heard of before, or recipes I've never heard of, but some things I'd like to discuss with you guys, see what you think, and see if you've heard of any of these cakes and pies. I don't have a list. It's just a mental list, so that'll have to do. Let's see. Anybody heard of a sawdust cake before we get started? Short stories about cake. Coffee tonight is on me. Wow. Thank you very much. A $20 super chat. Thank you very much. Anyone want to get his donuts? We need coffee and donuts. Yeah, if anybody's interested. That's true. $19.99. That'll get us a couple cups of coffee in this economy, but hey, they're good cups of coffee. No, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Yeah, it's a good. Also, if you get upset at me and want me to make sure that I see your insult, super chat's a good way to do it. It really makes them pop out so I can see them. But yeah, if you have anything you want to say or chip in, because the super chats are the reason we're able to do this show. So anything helps. We really appreciate it. And thank you to everybody that's become a member. Really appreciate that. Got a couple new members today. Okay, so we got enough people to roll in where we can get started. So we've done an episode on the Battle of San Pasqual. We're going to go a little bit more in depth in it in this weekend, and it's one that I think is so pivotal in American history, certainly in California history, and it happened outside of one of what most people consider one of the best cities in the country, maybe best in the world. I've lived there for a while. It is great. San Diego, except for the cost of living, it is as advertised. Like, it is 75 and sunny almost every day, except for June gloom, right? But it's certainly not associated with famous battles. That's kind of antithetical to most people's frame of mind, right? You think sunny beaches and nice locales, all that stuff. And that's true, but some really crazy history happened there. But the problem with the story, the reason I think it's not more well known, is it is a tad bit confusing. There's kind of, all in all, kind of three parts to it, and it's kind of hard to keep it straight. I know, because I wrote the episode, it's hard to keep it all straight and make it make sense in your mind, because one part of our army was going this way and the other Navy was holding here. The Kit Carson was going this way, and they really only met by chance. So it's a tough story if you're completely unfamiliar with it to keep track of. So hopefully this will help with that. The first part of that triad of the three parts of this story is the Mexican-American War as a whole. It's a seminal event in American history and in Mexican history. It really, in large part, defined our continent. It defined our history's ability, our country's ability to expand. It was a major event, and they knew it at the time. Many people opposed it. They saw it as an unnecessary aggression on America's part, seizing lands and kind of picking on the smaller, weaker Mexico, as it were. Abraham Lincoln, a major opponent of the war, and which garnered him a fair amount of opposition later in life because he was seen as kind of averse to something that so many people were so proud of. But it was a major land grab for sure to send an army. They wanted to have a cross continent conflict and take the land from Mexico. But to do that, you had to move your army literally across the continent. And at this time, California is not what we think of it today. It is a remote outpost by American terms and a remote outpost even by Mexican terms. Because at the time, it was so far away from Mexico City that it was kind of seen as a backwater. It was a secondary concern. So it wasn't particularly well reinforced. It wasn't particularly populated. And the Californios who lived there and had kind of created their own culture there that still is a major part of the area, they were kind of disregarded in large part, even during the war. So that made California, it was obviously a valuable territory, but nobody knew there was gold there. They just knew there was plenty of coastline, and America wanted to seize the coastline. So it means we have to send a bunch of soldiers across the continent. That's a problem in the 1830s. That's a large endeavor. And the guy that was he was assigned to it, but he really wanted to do it, was Stephen Watts Kearny. He was I believe a lieutenant colonel at the time, maybe general at the time. But he was the mastermind of the American Dragoons. And that's basically like a heavy set cavalry, because the thought was, well, we can't catch up to our enemy. We're having trouble catching the Plains tribes. So rather than beat them with speed, we're going to beat them with power. So we have these, heavily armed soldiers on horseback, and it was his kind of pet project. He even had all of the regiments in different horses. So one of them had all sorrel horses, the other had all black horses, the other had all white horses, and on and on and on, right? Gray horses. And he was like an equine fanatic, they said. Like, he was just obsessed with different types of horses, with riding, and he was very like personally invested in the animals. So they start making their way. You got to kind of march pretty slow. They're going to go from Fort Leavenworth southwest and then all the way across the Arizona and New Mexico deserts, and then to the California deserts, and then make their way across those to San Diego. So while they're doing that, they get caught. They kind of run into Kit Carson, who is on his way back to Washington, D.C. with a special set of dispatches for the president. But he happens to run into these guys in Santa Fe, I think it is. And they say, well, you got to come back with us because you can take us to there. They weren't going to San Diego. I believe they were going to Los Angeles. But they needed to divert a little bit. And when they found out they needed to divert a little bit, because when they ran into Kit Carson, they found out the Mexican forces were amassing in San Diego, and that the troops there, the Navy and the Marines that were in the harbor and populated the kind of just outside the bay, they kind of populated the inner circle of the city, were trapped there. The Mexican army had come in, and the California forces, and kind of encircled them, so they couldn't leave the bay. They couldn't go into the city anywhere. So they don't have any food. They are really hard up, and they can't make any attack of their own. So they're depending on a cross-continental rescue mission. And hopefully Kit Carson can sneak across the desert and take these papers to the president and make some kind of rescue mission happen. Well, Kit Carson runs into them, and they're like, well, we'll go back. We'll help. And he's like, cool. Okay. Well, I guess I'm not going to make it to Washington this time, but we'll lead you back. So he leads them all the way back across the desert. They all know who Kit Carson is. He is, even by this time, he's a super famous dude. He's well known for all of his work already as a mountain man. Like, they haven't done the whole trailblazing aspect as much yet, but everybody knows who Kit Carson is. So they trust this guy. They go all the way back across the desert, and they get to this kind of mesa area, about 30 minutes drive northeast of San Diego, and basically get kind of caught off guard by the California forces, because they're figuring, well, we're a very heavily armed force. There's a lot of us. So a lot of them had not made the trip, because a lot of the horses had not made it. And that was a real thorn in Kearny's side because he was such a fan of horses and had taken such care to select all of these horses and organize them that when they left Leavenworth, there was all these perfectly arranged regiments, all these perfectly arranged lines of horses, all by breed or all by type. And when they got to Arizona, they're all kind of mixed together because so many of them had died. So they've had a hard time making it across the desert, but they finally made it. They're pretty sure that the Californios are not going to be able to stop them, but they are caught in an attack, and they really underestimate the capabilities of the Californios because they're heavily armed, and the Californios, who are the guys that live in and around the L.A. San Diego area that is today, just have spears. They just have these long lances, and it's really where the Plains tribes got the idea for lances was from the Spanish, and it's the same principle here. They're these big, long, 14-foot lances. Mentally, you think like, oh, it's a spear. Think about how long 14 feet is, and you don't have to get that close to somebody. They don't have to reload, and there's dozens of them, so they can potentially do quite a bit of damage. This just was kind of underestimated, it seems like, in large part by the Dragoon forces. The forces of Colonel Archibald Gillespie. It's an easy name to remember, but for whatever reason, it doesn't stick in my head. He was a Marine who led the remaining kind of forces that could get out of San Diego, the naval and Marine forces, across the desert from the west heading east to meet and kind of reinforce Kearny and Carson. So they had this kind of night of camping out, right? Everybody's kind of getting ready, but they think, oh, we're going to overrun the California forces. This is not going to be a big deal. And they're kind of camping out in the open. They even see scouts here and there, but they're not really that worried about it. The next morning, everybody mounts up. There's a real procedure to every morning. Like they've been doing this for hundreds of mornings in a row already since they left Leavenworth. So nobody's too riled up. They all get dressed or they all get kitted up. Everybody forms into their formations, and the first scouting party kind of leads the way. And it's still real early in the morning. You can't hardly see anything, but they start getting close to this outpost where they know the Californios are. And before they know it, there's a shot fired. There's another shot fired. I think it's Daniel Johnston falls first. No, it is, sorry, Abraham Johnson. Daniel Johnston's a famous Austin musician. But Abraham Johnston's the first guy to fall. Then the Dragoon forces, it's tough to say too, kind of retract back for a second. And then they mount another charge. Now they're kind of like mad. So they mount another charge. But then the Mexican and California forces kind of retreat up a river, and they kind of draw the American forces into this trap where they have a river on one side and hills on the other, and there's really nowhere for them to go. And then they're caught in this, they kind of have to hunker down, and they're caught in a surprise kind of cyclone attack. Very reminiscent of a Comanche attack, where the Californians are whirling around them, and they'll hide behind their horses and then pop up and make an attack with either a pistol or a lance. And after 45 minutes of this, a lot of guys are starting to get hurt. A lot of guys are starting to fall. So taking significant losses. And they're all surprised by this. They all can't believe, as this is happening, as this is unfolding, that they're taking this many losses. The Marines come to back them up. Kit Carson is there fighting. Kit Carson's always at the front of everything. He's the front of this charge. He loses a horse, and he scrambles to the brush, and he fights the guy for his rifle, unalives that guy, starts shooting with the rifle from a kind of hidden position, and just does his thing for the entire battle. While he's doing that, the Marines come in and they try to mount a rescue, but they're really only able to drive them off and then retreat back to the mesa, and they're pretty much stuck there. They don't know what to do. On the Mexican side, they're kind of like elated. They didn't think that they'd really be able to pull this off, and this might actually be a turning point for them in the war, and also for Californios as a whole. Governor Pio Pico really thought this was a seminal moment for him, and for a while it was. It was even saying that he had managed to drive back the American forces. was quite the way to gain himself some favor in Mexico City, because none of these guys in California were taken seriously. San Diego was basically a backwater. You can read Jedediah Smith's account of San Diego, and none of the mountain men that make it there are impressed. Like, yeah, they're not supposed to be there. Granted, okay, that's fine. But they're not impressed. It's always like the buildings sound like they're all kind of falling apart. There's not, there's no real reason for it to be a hub yet. A lot of the coastal cities, Los Angeles, Monterey, San Francisco, they were all pretty rough places because they're as far away from either American cities or Mexican cities as you can get. It's the farthest west point. So it's almost completely divorced culture, and they were definitely looked down upon by their countrymen. Like it was like kind of a separate country that they claimed, but they weren't really like all that tight with. So they're going like, this is our chance to really gain some respect here. And the Americans are stuck on top of this mesa, and they have so many wounded they can't move. And if they don't get out of there soon, they're going to get overrun. The Mexican forces have all this time now to go gather local reinforcements, to send word out to nearby reinforcements, and just garner a huge force and overrun them. So this is a bad deal. And it was a very dangerous, not dangerous, but very tenuous tipping point for American history. And it happened. It's just like, I hate to keep repeating it, but it happened just outside of San Diego. So they're stuck up there, right? What are we going to do? The only guy, this Carson is like a legitimate kind of Old West action hero, because he's just always in the mix, and he's always the guy that makes it happen somehow. So the day after the battle, everyone else is stuck there. They're running out of food. They don't have any water. They're in the middle of the desert and they can't go anywhere. They have all these wounded that they can't move. Lots of their horses have been unalived. This is a bad situation. So Carson says, okay, we're going to take me, native guide, and another dude, younger guy. His name is in the script. Both of their names in the script. I just slipped my name right now. And we're just going to make a run for it in the middle of the night. They're on top of this mesa. It's really rocky. So in order to climb down, Carson goes, all right, guys, you know what we should do is this old like mountain man trick. We're going to take our boots off and we're going to walk with them down to the bottom. And then once we get to the ground where it's not rocky anymore, we can put them back on. But it's going to be a while, but like, let's take them off for now. So everybody goes, cool. Yeah, great. That's a good idea. And they get to the bottom of the mesa. Nobody sees them. They start crawling. Nobody sees them. Then they come within like 10 yards of this guard, a California guard who's smoking a cigarillo, which is like, I guess you do it like that. But it sounds pretty cool. Like he just like hangs out and smokes this cigarillo down to the stub. Even the way they describe it, they kind of begrudgingly have to go like, yeah, we were terrified, but the guy looked pretty cool. He's like sitting on his horse, chilling, smoking cigarillo. He's got a big lance. It was cool. But the guy doesn't see them. He rides off and they go, okay, now we got to make a break for it. And they look around and they forgot their boots. And they're 30 miles away from San Diego. And they only have really the cover of the night to get them far enough away from the Mexican forces where they can make a run for it. So they just have to crawl until they can't be seen anymore and then run barefoot. And there's nothing you can do. You just have to eat it. Like there's a bunch of stickers. It's pretty rough country out there. So you're just stepping on rocks and stickers and all kinds of stuff, cacti. And it sucks. There's nothing that you can do about it. And you can't yell or complain because then you'll get found out. And they did this for hours till sunrise. And they kind of got in a canyon and then made their way along. It makes sense. Like the direct route they don't have. But if you've been to that country, you're like, yeah, you find your way in a canyon. You can kind of stay out of sight. They work their way down the hills. And finally, they get to the edge of San Diego. And they have to wait until there's like, you know, like they have spotlights and you have to find the sweet spot in the spotlights on the Prison Break movie. It's like that, but they have guards. They have sentries posted everywhere, and they have to wait till like the sentries ride this way and one of them rides the other way. And then three of them make a mad dash, and they do it at night. So nobody sees them. Somehow they make it to the port, and that's pretty wild. That's like an action movie in and of itself. It's like a first player video game. They'd have to go through the back alleys and sneak and go house to house and finally make it through this ring of houses. And if you get caught, you're probably going to get executed. Maybe not, but probably. So then they make it all the way and then they have to request reinforcements for Kearney and the other troops who are left stuck on top of the mesa. So it turns into this, like, there's real egg on the face of everybody. It's a tough time for the United States forces during the Mexican American War, and it for like those guys that were there, it would have seemed like, oh no, we have, irreparably altered the course of our country's history. We might have lost a war by just our actions in this one battle. And for the Mexican forces on the other side, it would have seemed for a brief moment that, like, we can do this. You've won it. You've won at in the past. You've won at the Alamo. You've won several battles in the Mexican American War, and the American forces' course down south towards Mexico City is not as easy as posterity makes it look. It was a pretty hard slog. So they're starting to think, like, we can do this and we can drive these guys out. Eventually, doesn't work out. The reinforcements come, and then the Americans kind of work their way up the coast, but it's kind of a debacle. I have an episode called the California Alamo, where they go to Monterey. It's just south of Monterey. What is it? Gallivan Hill. And it's Carson, it's Fremont, who's like inseparable from Carson in American history. Fortunately and unfortunately, I don't know. I don't know, man. You guys can tell me, but I'm not the biggest Fremont fan, which is maybe a little heretical coming from California, but I don't know. Kind of a clout chaser. And I think this is a good example of that, because they take all these guys up there. They take the forces that they've got with them. They all get on a ship from San Diego, go up north, and they try to take this hill, Gavilan Hill. And Fremont says, like, we're going to make our last stand. And they raise an American flag way up high above this kind of ramshackle fort that they built on top of the hill. And a bunch of Mexican forces amass in this valley below. Could be a battle, they think. And then nothing happens. The flag falls over and everybody just kind of leaves. It's like just a huge nothing burger. And it's like, why would you do that if you weren't just kind of a egomaniac? But the Battle of San Pasqual was a real dangerous turning point for both countries in the Mexican American War. I think it's a good example of the fighting on the farthest reaches of that war. It was really kind of separated from the rest of the fighting. And really, if that had gone the other way, if American forces had continued to lose battles, like they won the Battle of Rio San Gabriel, several other battles, the Battle of Los Angeles, they started to gain momentum back and ended up winning the war in the end. But if San Pasqual had been able, if the Mexican forces had been able to extrapolate on San Pasqual, if they had gotten more reinforcements, that could certainly change the history of California. You might not even have American California. It could change the history of either or both Mexico and the United States. And in turn, that could change the history of the world. You might not have the Zimmerman telegraph, or that may have worked out differently. Just one thing, right? But innumerable things. Kind of like we talked about in the short live stream yesterday. It's kind of a butterfly effect of history, where if this one thing had gone differently, things could have been much different. And it's incredible that these guys with 14-foot lances were able to essentially pretty soundly defeat the cream of the crop of the American military at the time, the entity that had the most funding, the most public support behind it, the greatest kind of hope for their future. They really thought the Dragoons were going to change the way the American military fought. And they just never proved to be all that effective in the Mexican-American War. They had their moments. Okay? They did. They didn't prove to be that effective on the plains and the Indian Wars. They didn't prove to be that effective in Texas. They're just not mobile enough, and they required too many resources. So long story short, that's kind of the problem with it. Was the problem with the Dragoons. And I think all of that it came to a culmination in the Battle of San Pasqual. And if you want to understand the history of California, the history of Mexico, the history of the United States, the history of the Mexican-American War in its full context, it's important to understand that, I think. It kind of contextualizes history, because it's like, Yeah, there's really no city that is devoid of some pretty significant historical incident. So it's a one that a lot of people don't know about the Battle of San Pasqual. A lot of people don't know about the Marines' involvement in it. Archibald Gillespie is a pretty, if you are into Marine history, you definitely know Archibald Gillespie, because they were just so closely linked to the Navy, especially at that time. These guys were Archibald Gillespie has been in all kinds of stuff. The Navy, a lot of these guys went from California, I don't know, South America, the Eastern Seaboard, uh, the Orient, as they would call it at the time. So interesting characters involved too. But I think the reason it's not more well known is because it's just kind of hard for people to track. It's like Kit Carson and then Archibald Gillespie and then Stephen Kearney, and then they fought guys with lances. Some people kind of know about it, but it's a little confusing. Hopefully, this stream has made that better and not worse. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that kind of covers everything. So let's take a look at the chat again here. Let's see. Terry R, another $10 super chat. Thank you very much. Did the spears that the natives use had they gone out of did the spears that the natives used have gone out of style by that time, making it awkward for the dragoons to fight? Did like the dragoons? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. The dragoons weren't prepared to fight somebody with long spears. Yeah, pretty much. They were prepared to fight heavily armed, more kind of a European conflict. But they were thinking that because we're so heavily armed and uh, our horses are so powerful, basically, like we have fast sprinting horses, right? That we'll be able to make up for any. We'll be able to make up for our lack of mobility in our speed and our power. It doesn't really work that way. Usually mobility is survivability in warfare. Like that's at least the common trope that I've heard. And they weren't prepared to deal with that, and they really underestimated it. But they would learn as they went on. This is in the 1830s, so this would go on for another 20 years where they were having trouble with the Plains tribes, very similarly armed with long lances, because it's just harder to defend than you think it's going to be too, especially when you have single shot rifles. So you can only load and fire what, guys, like 6 times a minute? Is that like pretty generous? Where these guys can just they can stab at you and then ride around, and while they're riding around, the other guys behind him are all stabbing at you. So it's just this like horrifying porcupine kind of thing, right? It's just boom, 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 boom all the time. So it's just, I think it's something they weren't prepared to deal with tactically or like mentally. Okay, got to ask, what is the Zimmerman telegraph? The Zimmerman telegraph was a telegraph. You guys might have to correct me a little bit on this, but that Germany sent to Mexico during World War One, that said you should invade America, and we will support a Mexican invasion of America. Because that was just after Pancho Villa. So especially the borderlands in America were a hot zone. They had just gotten back from General Blackjack Pershing's expedition into Mexico, and the Germans knew about this. And this is what supposedly happened, right? You guys, you can hit me with any conspiracies, but America intercepted that and used it as justification to enter World War One. I believe it happened in 1917, but maybe 1916. Okay, let me check here. I'm going to try to get to everybody. Anybody have any questions on it? Did I miss anything? I may have. Let's see. The Bear Republic, says Douglas Jones. Yeah, that kind of was formulated around this as well. Kearney was okay. Thanks, man. Thanks, Douglas Jones. Kearney was a colonel at that time. Thanks. I said he was a general. He wasn't a general until later. Thank you. I kind of felt like that was not quite right. Absolute luck they ran into Kit Carson. There's a little bit of a conspiracy around that, and a conspiracy around, maybe not a conspiracy, maybe significant questions around the messages that Carson was carrying, like what they said exactly. if Fremont may have tried to sneak in some surreptitious message to the president. Because it is a little curious that they would just run into each other like that. But it's not impossible. I think it happened. Just popping in to say hi. Space Cowboy, what's up, man? Driving, can't chat. That's for the best. Hopefully you can listen, though. Let's see. Mule Hill in Escondido. Yeah, do I have that right? Because I lived in San Diego for a while, but sometimes it's west of San Diego, right? Like kind of northwest, west at least. I was working there for a while, and when I moved to town, I moved to San Marcos, I think. And I was just like, why is this out in the middle of the desert? What happened here? I thought there was going to be beaches. We got deserts where I come from. But nope. Let's see. Pennsylvania Plowboy. If I missed somebody, sorry. It's the time frame of the whole thing. Also is a really stretch out engagement. I found the small California State Memorial Clock Cutter says I found a small California State Memorial for the Battle of Rio San Gabriel when I was out riding my bike recently. I think that's Kearney's next fight in the campaign, right? We did an episode about a year ago on that. It's a small little monument. I saw pictures of it. I'd like to go see it myself because it's just right there, right? There's just the rest of the city around it, but it's just a little plaque. And that's another battle that, was after this one, but really shaped the state and the history of both countries from there on out. And one of those wow, this is, if you imagine the intensity and how dangerous it was for the guys that were fighting it. And then now there's just like a yoga studio or something there. It's hard to juxtapose in your mind. It's fascinating that they both happened in the same spot. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Pennsylvania Plowboy says the Zimmerman telegraph was, quote, supposed to have been sent by the Germans. Correct. Yeah, I have my doubts about that. The Carson meeting Kearney thing, I don't know, man. I buy that. But the Zimmerman telegraph, I don't know. Germany said they'd help Mexico get Texas back. Right. Because all this stuff, I mean, in 1914 through 1918, the Alamo had been 80 years ago, so it's a while ago. But like I said, General Pershing had just gone into Mexico. It was still a hot area, and there was still this real fervor after Pancho Villa that things could be different. Is the Battle of Rio San Gabriel in downtown San Diego? Short Stories by Kate asks. That is little south of downtown Los Angeles. Pennsylvania Plowboy. England was getting desperate by that time to make us want to fight. I know, dog. I think it was Wilson's wife, not Wilson, who decided to get us into that war. Not a fan. Any other questions about Battle of San Pasqual? Have you ever been there, or anybody from San Diego? People from San Diego are different. I was surprised when I moved down there. A lot of my friends were surfer guys, a lot of musician guys, and then there'd just be full on hillbillies coming in from the East County to Charger games and stuff. Because I stayed not far away from Jack Murphy Stadium then. So that's where Chargers games were, I believe. Yeah, and they had monster truck rallies and stuff. So there was always fair share of hillbillies rolling in. I was like, what's up, guys? And they had Charger gear everywhere. Cakes all kinds. Okay, I saw that. The Inevitable Truth says, yes, I'm from SD. Are there any interesting battle sites other interesting locations in the Anza Borrego Park region? I'd have to look. San Pasqual is the only battle that I know of. Maybe there's one more that I'm forgetting. But there's lots of really interesting history in San Diego because it's one of the oldest cities that we have in America now. Just because it was a city long before America existed. But is it 1690s? Might even be before that. Did anything happen in Cleveland, Ohio? The Drew Carey show. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, lots of other stuff has happened there. I don't think we've done anything specifically on Ohio actually, that's weird. Ohio has so much great history. Man, shame on me. I don't think we've done anything. We talked about the Ohio River Valley with Daniel Boone, but okay, you know what? We'll get something on Ohio soon. Man, sorry about that. Have you ever been to or have any episodes on the mission in ST? I have not. No, I would like to. I'd like to go to the several of the missions in California because they have the whole mission system has so much history. And the Mountain Men, I'm a huge Jedediah Smith fan, and to go to I believe it's the Mission San Gabriel, where he stayed, where he and his men were there for a while. They wrote about uh, how the Spaniards or how the Mexican uh, missions had great food, but it was too spicy for them. And they talk about their stomachs being upset the whole time. And they were really weirded out by their treatment of both the natives. Sometimes they were kind of weird. They were weirded out by it. They were like, these guys are a little harsh with these guys, huh? But not all the time. It just depends on what account you read. So, but then they were super weirded out by their treatment of horses because horses were super valuable to the mountain men. And in America, they were in American society back east. You had to have they were worth some money. But in California, there were so many horses. They were a horse people. It was said that a Californio would get on his horse and ride 100 yards rather than walk it. So they had tons of them. And when they had ones they didn't want it or they didn't like, they would put them in a corral and then just leave and just let them starve, And so even the mountain men were like, bro, maybe that's a little much, huh? But they're very interesting places. I would like to visit them because there's so much history there. And I want to go to Fort Ross, just north of San Francisco. Anybody heard of Fort Ross? I'm trying to there's a lot of them. We got quite a few flooding in here. We need to do one on Indiana. Cowboys L says the whole Ohio River Valley has a lot of rich history from the War of 1812. Yeah, and even before that, well before that, there was the long hunters were going in there. That's really where the long hunters from Pennsylvania were starting to operate. That was the edge of the frontier. And there was the what is it? You get malaria, I think, from mosquitoes. There were just so many mosquitoes that people would get like a tick, like a shake from them, from whatever disease they carried. And so that was just that's how you knew someone was from Ohio. Everyone there just had this little thing. It wasn't a big deal. It's let's see. Short Stories by Kate says, is Fort Ross the Russian fort? Yeah, it's man, it might be in Santa Rosa because my Bay Area geography gets screwed up a little bit. But it's just north of San Francisco, and it's really the first mission, I believe. No, not the first, but it was the Russians. The Russians came down from Alaska. And so it was their first incursion into the lower 48. A lot of people don't know it exists. It's still an active church. Let's see. So I'd like to go see it. The Russians don't get enough credit in Old West history. We don't talk about them enough because they're so far up in Alaska. It's they were doing crazy stuff up there. We talked about it a little bit in the Battle of Sitka, 1802, the Battle of Sitka, 1804. But we got more. We got to cover more. They were up in Kodiak, up this fighting grizzly bears. And then there's a whole native tribe called the Haida. I believe it's the Haida that are in Canada that are basically Canadian native Vikings. So we got to talk about that too. Okay. Any more questions on San Pasqual? Or if you have any Zimmerman conspiracy theories, we could throw that in there. And if there's any conspiracy news that you've heard lately, let me know. And then we're going to dive quickly into some pie and cake talk. Because that became a bit of a contentious issue 2 nights ago. And I've been thinking about it a bit. I don't think anybody had wrong answers. But we'll cover I found a couple new things. All right, last call. Oh, here we go. Oh, Magic Keycast, what's up? I was just on Magic Keycast's show about an hour ago. We talked about the history of Davy Crockett. Because really, he was the first modern American folk hero where every kid in America had access to, most of them had access to a TV and there was like 5 TV shows in existence. It's hyperbole, but so everybody watched the same show. So you get millions and millions of views. All these kids are watching this Disney show about Davy Crockett, and it's the first like Air Jordan phenomenon where every kid had a Crockett hat. That hadn't happened before, not nationwide, and that was really broken by Crockett, by the coonskin cap, because he's a cool dude. He's not an objectionable guy. He stands for admirable things. He stood up for native tribes in the Trail of Tears. He stood up for himself plenty. He stood up for his constituents in Congress and in the State House of Representatives. Uh, and he stood up for what he thought was right. And I think he's not a terribly controversial guy. He's a likable guy, even through the lens of hindsight. And he's a personable guy. You can kind of see yourself in him in a lot of ways. So he's a great vehicle to teach American history through. And I think Disney was a genius for knowing that. So we got to really delve into that topic and how Disney changed American culture and changed pop culture, and really came up with a lot of stuff for the park when he was bringing Disney to the forefront of America's consciousness. Hurting for words there. But yeah, that was a blast. Go check it out. It's Magic Keycast. It's on YouTube, I think podcast platforms too. But I'll put a link to it when it goes live. Let's see. Clock Cutter, Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier. Yeah, during the show, we actually tried to look up the lyrics for the song, and it's like American Pie. Like the song just keeps going and going and going. There are so many verses to it. And it's like decent history. Maybe some un-PC terms that you get in trouble for today, but good song, just very long, not karaoke friendly. Let's see. It was the Battle of San Pasqual, the largest battle in SD in its history. Yes, absolutely. And it was, I'm kind of summarizing it here, right? But you can listen. The episode will come out, like I said, members will get it tomorrow. It'll come out live Saturday morning. I believe it's the first battle that we talked about. Yes, pretty sure that it is. You can listen to it. It's brutal. It's brutal. And the History Channel did a pretty decent 20-minute episode on it in the 90s. That's the first time I heard about it. It's always kind of fascinated me. I asked people a lot when I lived there, like, did you know the battle happened here? And they would just look at me like, no, it didn't. Like, okay, well, let's see. Hightailed it to Mule Hill and they were trapped. Food ran low. They had to eat their mules. Oh, right. I forgot to mention that. It's mentioned in the episode, but they had run out of food. So they were having to eat the mules that had been shot. I think they started shooting their own because you're just stuck in the middle of the desert. You can't do anything. Elite Super Grunt. What's up, dude? Good to have you here. Elite Super Grunt is a regular. A lot of you guys are regulars. So it's always fun to be able to just hop on and do these because we can all hang out. Let's see. Am I missing anybody? If I'm missing you, I apologize. If I'm missing something that I need to see, like I said, like $1 super chat, I will see it. Otherwise, I feel bad. I know I get to the end of it and I look over it and I see I usually miss a significant amount. So sorry about that. I said, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Disney. I talked about that. We're going to get in the cake on the brain, man. We'll get into that in a second. Terry R says mule sandwiches. I mean, there's somewhere where they eat mule. They eat horse in Canada. Get it together, dudes. That's where they ship a lot of the horses we don't use here. That's a fun little fact, isn't it? They ship to Mexico and then they get sold in meat markets. And I think the French eat it. The Turkmenistan that eats tons of horse, like an inordinate amount of horse. Like, come on, guys. And then the French Canadians eat horse. I don't know, guys. I know everything's meat, but like, I don't know. I find that weird. Oh, the Japanese eat a lot of horse too. That's right. Listen, I'm not harshing anybody's buzz, okay? I'm just saying, like, horse, I don't know. And what's a kukui? I don't know. I'd rather you eat a guinea pig than a horse, though. Maybe that says something about me. I have some internal turmoil to examine. Let's see. The local tale. Oh, Douglas Jones. Here we go. The local tale is that Carson charged that he thought. Oh, okay. The local tale is that Carson charged what he thought was a small Mexican force. His troops saw more. They turned back, and Carson ended up charging alone until he realized it. I didn't read that account specifically, but that Carson was the head of the charge. He was just like, "All right, well, we got to go." Like, I know I just got here. I don't think he really. I mean, he wasn't a trained soldier, but he's just like, "Yeah, screw it. Like, you just got to do it." You know what I mean? It's not that hard, guys. Like, you just do it. He was wild. He was just down for whatever. DFW. Elite Super Grunt says horse tartar. Have any of you ever eaten horse? Is it any good? Elite Super Grunt. I have a feeling that you've eaten horse, but maybe I'm wrong. And that's meant as a compliment, I think. Pennsylvania Plowboy says I'd rather eat a nice beefsteak. Yeah, me too. It's like, listen, I don't, you know what I mean? I respect life and everything, but I've been around a lot of cows and they're stupid. They're clever sometimes. They're devious, but they don't strike me as that smart. They are oftentimes frustratingly, confoundingly stupid. And they're smart when you least need them to be smart. All right, let's see. Terry R. Did they count on Kit Carson to get them across the desert just as important as the fight? Yeah, they were going to make it. They were planning on making it across the desert, but without Kit Carson, they probably wouldn't have gotten to San Diego. Because the dude was wild. He could get across he'd been to Idaho, Oregon, Wyoming, Montana. He'd been all over the place, and he just kept finding new routes and just doing it. I saw a map once. I should have put it up here, but he crisscrossed the whole continent like a couple times. Elite Super Grunt says never tried horse, but I would try it. Fair enough. Tastes like chicken, but horsier. It looks like a beefy meat to me, Douglas Jones. It's a red meat, right? Now, I've had elk, I've had deer, I've had axis deer. That's all really good. It's all kind of red meat. So I'm sure it's not like disgusting. But I don't know. All right. Last call for San Pasqual questions. And like I said, if you have any conspiracies you want me to touch on tonight, we could do that. Any Zimmerman conspiracies? John Wayne said a horse ain't much better. True. I mean, like, that's true. I'm not here to argue John Wayne. I mean, he's right. I would say, but it is better still, right? Let's see. I think Australians eat horse also. Do they really? I mean, they eat fairy bread, which is like buttered bread with sprinkles on it, and they eat Vegemite. So, like, I guess they eat a lot of stuff. And the bread thing doesn't sound, in theory, it doesn't sound bad, but in practice, I just don't think it'd be good. He explored the Great Salt Lake and carved across the top on Fremont Island. Oh, did he carve across on Fremont Island? I didn't know that. Kit Carson did. Moose is awesome meat, says Pennsylvania Plowboy. I just had a friend that helped. He was like a spotter on a moose hunt, and he sent me some pictures from them dressing the moose. It's huge. It's huge. Neil guy tastes great. Yeah, I think I've had some of that too. There's a lot of those in Texas. You're in Texas, right? Elite Super Grunt. Let's see. Ellie McFadden says if there was not a fight going, Kit Carson would start one. I mean, he started one with the French trapper at the rendezvous where he heard the guy. I think he just heard the guy talking, and he was like, "Well, let's have a duel on horses." And they got like 50 yards away from each other, and they rode at each other and shot. And the guy missed, and Carson shot the guy in the wrist, and he was just like, "Yeah, shut up, fool." And that was pretty much it. But he was ready to go. He was a punchy little guy. Let's see. You go, Kit. Yeah, he was that dude. He was ready to go. Though I think like he was oddly obedient to Fremont. I always found that odd. especially at San Quentin. We did an episode on they had gotten to basically where San Quentin prison is today on the northern edge of San Francisco Bay, and they saw an older Mexican man and two younger Mexican teenagers. It looked like maybe 1920, coming across the bay on a rowboat, and they didn't have the stories mostly say that they didn't have. Some accuse these guys of having some kind of correspondence on them, uh, but it doesn't seem like they did. And Fremont just said Carson said, "Well, what do you want me to do with these guys?" And Fremont said, "Do your duty, Mr. Carson." And Carson shot him, which is pretty wild. Like, no more talking. He just said, "Do your duty." And Carson's like, "Okay," and shot him. Didn't even seem like he was that upset. He was just like, "Oh, you want me to do my job? Okay." So a little weird. I think that's a little strange. Clock Cutter says, "I had reindeer in Norway. It tastes like chicken and it's definitely a red meat." Very cool. That's like a normal thing for them there, right? Which makes sense. Was Kit military or a trapper or maybe both? He was not. He later became a scout, like a formal scout for the army, but he started out as just a mountain man and a guide. Because it's another kind of classic case of the army couldn't get anywhere without somebody who'd already been there showing them. So they often hired native scouts, and in this case, they'd hire mountain men to get them across the Rockies and across the desert and stuff like that. Douglas Jones says Kit Carson had a fanatical loyalty to Fremont. He did. And I mean, like, maybe he just had to know the guy, but I never have understood his loyalty to Fremont. It seems like Fremont is, exponentially more. I'm sorry. It seems that Carson is an exponentially more impressive person than Fremont, but that's why it's so curious. All right. Last call for anything I missed. And then we're going to talk a little cakes and then let's see what's up. Any reason for his loyalty to Fremont? No, not really. Not. Do you think so, Douglas Jones? It's kind of inexplicable to me. I'm sure he would have his own reasons. Oh yeah. Fremont saved his life. Yeah, but that was like one time, and then Carson saved Fremont's life many times. And yeah, that's right, Douglas Jones. I that was where my mind first went. But Ellie McFadden, you're right. But Douglas Jones says Fremont had education where Carson did not. He had a very insecure, maybe, but he just had I don't know if it was insecurity so much as he just had a very stratified view of society. And he was a guy on the frontier. So he just didn't know as much as somebody who had as much formal education as Fremont. And that's just the way he looked at it. It's probably a pretty common blue collar view in the 19th century, but he just felt like this is how things were. Ellie McFadden, it only takes one time of saving someone's life. Yeah, that's fair. You saved my life one time, and I'll do what I can for you. But if you tell me to pew three dudes, I might at least have to have a talk with you. We're gonna have a little powwow real quick, because Carson was just like, meh, okay. But that's just something I've found curious. That's not to take away from the legend of the man, because there's so many things that he did that just changed American history, shaped American history. So even Kit Carson could be intimidated. Yeah, I don't even know if he was intimidated. I think it's just a cultural lens for him. His family wasn't from effete stock. He didn't have much in the way of formal learning himself, so he just deferred to those who did as being smarter than him. But he was a super smart, resourceful. You don't make cross-continental trips on foot and on horseback alone through enemy territory without being a smart guy. He was obviously super tough. Otherwise, other than the San Quentin thing, very principled. Like, he wouldn't take people weaker than him being pushed around, as evidenced by the rendezvous. He was honest. He was popular amongst his other trappers. He time and time again saved many people's lives, his fellow trappers, native tribes. He had I got this one thing. Whatever, I can't tell him. Whatever. He had a Shawnee wife, I believe. Sometimes I get them mixed up without it right in front of me. and then married. I think he just left her, and then married. Was it Rosetta? And he moved to Santa Fe. He actually had to become Catholic because he was a Mexican citizen at the time, which is interesting. That made him a little different too, because that was a very odd cultural thing in 18th, 19th century America, and something that like really weirded out the mountain men and the American soldiers that were in California. That was a big thing, much more so than I think we understand in the present day, where they viewed they had come from a strictly Protestant area, and they viewed any of the things that they saw when they got to the Mexican areas as just like unthinkable for them culturally. So there's lots of remarks about that. Whereas like we wouldn't see that as much of a dividing point today. That was a very big deal to them. Let's see. But yeah, so everybody make sure you stay tuned. We'll have, I don't know if we'll have a lunchtime one tomorrow. I got to do something tomorrow night, but I'll be back Saturday morning. So we'll do the stream after the episode. Just hang out like this, but it'll be a good follow on. So if you have any questions or something I didn't bring up during the episode, we can talk about it then. Where did Kit see? Oh, $5 super chat. Terry R. Thank you very much again. That's 2 for Terry R. Thank you very much. Where did Kit C finally end up, or how did he pass away? Oh man, I believe he ended up in Santa Fe. He lived quite a while. Gosh, now I'm kind of blending him and Jim Bridger together. He lived until I believe the 1870s, somewhere in there. I believe he passed away in Santa Fe. That was his home base. After he got done, he retired there, and he had a couple kids there. He had lost one. I keep trying to find more info on this, but while he was out on an expedition, one of his children with Josefa Carson, that's his wife's name, had passed away. No, I think it was his child with his original wife who he had left back in New Mexico, but had passed away by falling into a vat of boiling soap. And that's all it says. And it's like, I get the picture, but it would help for you to explain that a little bit more, but that's all it says. But he ended up, that was his home base for the rest of his life, was Santa Fe. And I think it really speaks to his impact when there's Kit Carson roads here in central Texas, I think towards Dripping Springs. There's Kit Carson, all kinds of roads and parks in California, nationwide, because he just had a hand in the shaping of so much of the entire continent. The guy was everywhere. And for somebody with no formal education, no family background, he was a literal self-made man. All right. Any other Carson City? Oh, Carson City, Nevada. Right. Carson was a chameleon. He adapted to the present circumstances he found himself in. Yeah. He's like a dream dude for the CIA. Can you imagine if the agency got a hold of this guy? Oh, wow. Oh man, I feel bad for not NDPNDNT 25, a $20 super chat. Wow. Thank you so much. Wow. Thank you. If there's a note, you didn't leave a comment or a question, just the cute little Japanese dog hugging a trophy, which I feel is incredibly apt. But if you have any comments or questions you want me to get to, anything you want me to cover tonight, let me know. We'll do it. Anybody throws down like a $20 super chat, you can name a movie. We'll watch it right now. Make it worth everybody's while. How about that? Terry, he sounds humble. Kit Carson sounds very humble. Yes, he very humble guy, almost to his own detriment. Pennsylvania Plowboy. Yeah, dude. Wasn't there some shady stuff with him in his later years? There was, but I've read so much stuff that my brain is it's like very San Pasqual centric right now. Can you jog my memory with that? He also did a lot, like I kind of joked about the agency using him, but I mean, he carried a lot of letters to the president. He made a lot of top secret missions carrying correspondence. So, I mean, if he was in the 20th century, if this was like a World War II spy like Julia Childs, we'd have some questions, right? So Pennsylvania Plowboy, jog my memory a little bit, and I bet you we can head down that road a little bit. Indian Pete says, all good, just enjoying the channel. Well, thank you so much. Kit would have done the same. Well, thank you. Hopefully he'd enjoy our presentation. Oh, thank you so much, though. When Kit Carson was, Douglas Jones says, when Kit Carson was alone in Indian country, he was loyal to them. When he was with Fremont, he was loyal to him. He had no problem killing natives while with IS forces. Yep. Curious dude, right? Because he had no problem doing that. Man, I'm sorry. This is stupid. So one beef I have with the Casio, I got to turn, it's my fault. I got to turn that alarm off. But yeah, he had no problem taking out the Navajo, right? He had no problem taking out the guys in San Quentin. He had no problem doing a lot of stuff. And then he would also when he was living with, was it the Arapaho? But he lived with tribes and he would fight for them. So he was, I don't know if it was just pragmatism. I think he had his own like internal moral code. But yeah, I mean, you could see it with his citizenship in Mexico. Like he's like, oh, you want to be Catholic? Whatever. And I'll be Catholic. He didn't take it as like a big deal. It's like whatever it takes to get the job done. 1868 in Fort Lyon. Oh, in Fort Lyon, Colorado. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. He passed away in 1868. I thought it was just after the Civil War, 1868, 1870. In Fort Lyon, Colorado. He had significant health problems by the time he passed away. Let's see. Thank you, Ellie McFadden, though. Sometimes you don't have the stuff right in front of you. And you got other stuff on the brain. I got like Bigfoot Wallace on the brain. I got Samurai on the brain. We got a lot of stuff coming for you. So Carson, got that. Pennsylvania Plowboy, I've never actually heard what it was. Okay. But I remember seeing things that said he was not liked over business deals somehow. Yeah, I've heard that too with certain guys that he dealt with. But I'm not so much talking about that because I think that's just like sour grapes. But I have heard things about him carrying top secret correspondence and what he knew about when things were going to happen. He may have been more involved in the, intelligence process, the surveillance process, espionage process, than we like to give him credit for. Let's see. Okay, I got that. But I'll go look at that next. I'll go look at that for our next stream because there's something there. And I almost looked at it before this one, but busy times. I was talking about Davy Crockett. Oh, pet adventures, the adventures of the pet detective, excuse me. $5 super chat. Sounds pragmatic in his environment. Yeah, you got to do what it takes to survive, right? That's the harsh reality of being a grown-up, that's for sure. Fort Carson in Colorado Springs near Pike Peak is named after him. Right, that's right. I forgot Fort Carson. Yeah. Let's see. I think there was things over Pennsylvania Plowboy says, sorry guys, the coffee. I think there was things over wagon trains, and also they seem to get robbed very often. Oh, so he was setting what you're positing that possibly he was setting up wagon trains to get possibly robbed. That's very interesting. I'm just going to say that's very interesting, and I'm going to look into that. I'm going to say I hope not, but I like that. That's right up my alley. Very interesting. All right. Any more Carson comments? Questions, comments? California questions, comments? A lot of people a lot of people don't like California or Californians. Okay. I get it. I'm not deaf to why. I'm not blind to why. But there's really fascinating history. Much of the state is much more rural, much more frontier-like than we like to think, and there's much more consequential history that happened there than we really understand. Lots of stuff: the Pyramid Lake Wars, the Lava Field Wars. Terry R says, I assume you have Kit Carson episodes. We do, and we just released a couple of months ago. We released a Kit Carson compilation. I think it's called oh man, I'll have to look it up. I'll post it in the description here. But it's an hour or so of Kit Carson stories. Let's see. And one Old West conspiracy that we're going to jump into soon is it the Whitmer massacre from Arizona? If you're not familiar with the history guy, he's an OG YouTube history channel. He just did a episode on the Whitmer massacre, which happened in Arizona, and a whole wagon train was taken out. And we're not really sure who did it. It may have been the Apaches. It may have been bandits. It may have been both, or it may have been bandits dressed as Apaches. We don't know. And there's some compelling evidence and some compelling motives for who may have been involved. Douglas Jones, Kit Carson's relationship with the Native Americans was complex and contradictory. Almost all the mountain men's former, or anybody who had been a mountain man, you could say that about their relationship with the natives. I think Daniel Boone's was. He was a skilled frontiersman who married Native American woman and was fluent in several tribal languages. Absolutely. And usually they would adopt the rivalries, the intertribal disdain for whatever enemy of the tribe, whoever was the enemy of the tribe they had been adopted into. So if you were adopted into the Apache, you would hate the Comanche. If you were adopted into the Crow, you would hate the Blackfoot, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see. Heck yeah, I'm up for a Kit Carson long show, Terry R. Yeah, that's a good one. And we'll put out we only got a couple stories in there. We have more stories, but we'll put out another one. We got a fair amount of Carson, a lot of mountain man stuff coming up in the next month or so, and a couple of Carson stories. And I was gonna say I had a mountain man book. Oh yeah, I wanted to give you guys a heads up on this one. There's a lot of Carson stories in this one. It's called After Lewis and Clark. Robert M. Utley is one of the best mountain man authors I think out there. Really good one. After Lewis and Clark, Mountain Man and the Paths to the Pacific. I've been using that for research lately. It's a really good one. All right. So last call for conspiracy, last call for Kit Carson. And then I want to run a poll here. Best cake/pie. I'm going to name off some pies for you. We're going to talk about these. The earthquake cake, the sawdust pie, and the Dubai chocolate cupcake. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard about this viral Dubai chocolate craze, right? But where they take this, like, I don't know, like Middle Eastern, Arabic, I don't know, like kind of noodles, and they fry them up till they're crunchy. And then they put a bunch of pistachio cream, like peanut butter, but made out of pistachios, mix that all together. And then they put that inside of a chocolate bar. It looks really good. I haven't had one. But now Sam's Club is apparently taking that and making it into a cupcake with like thick chocolate frosting and pistachio in the middle. Looks really good. Haven't had it yet. Let me know if you would vote for that. I have another one that I just learned about called the sawdust pie. I believe it's from Kentucky, where they mix it's basically like the frosting of a German chocolate cake, but put in a pie, which like I'm sold already. But graham cracker crust, it's like coconut, condensed milk, pecans inside of it. And then I think you put nuts on top of it. I don't think you put nuts on top of it. It's like a custard fill thing. They'll put whipped cream on top of that sometimes. Cool. Sometimes they add banana. Not my thing. Sorry if that infuriates some people, but I don't know, man. Like, not my thing. But it looked really good. It's a Kentucky thing. Usually when I hear about desserts, it's like a bunch of stuff mixed together. It's not my thing as much, but they said, the lady on the video told me that it's just like the filling and the frosting on German chocolate cake. That's like my favorite thing in the world. So that's up there for me. And then the earthquake cake. That's kind of a Texas classic where you just toss everything into a cake. There's like pretzels and marshmallows and chocolate pieces, and every family has a different recipe. And my family has one. There's also a Texas sheet cake, but I'll put that on the next poll. I think a Texas sheet cake everyone likes. And if you don't like it, then you don't need that person in your life. But yeah, I've been learning a lot about desserts since we talked about that. I live in Austin, so there's lots of I can go find it if I find a good dessert. So what should I go look for? Dubai chocolate cupcake? I'll bring them on the stream and I'll taste test them. Then I get a dessert and it's a tax write-off. Take that, Uncle Sam. Don't take that, Uncle Sam. We love you. So happy to foot the bill for you. Just making jokes. Let's see. Never heard of these, Ellie McFadden. You never heard of the Dubai chocolate cupcakes? You guys have me sitting at 50-50. I need a decider. I need a tiebreaker. They made the Dubai chocolate cookie on a baking show I just watched. Too much for me. Too much work to bake. Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to make any of this stuff. It's going to be outsourced. And I've seen the Dubai chocolate in the grocery store, but it's like $8 a pop. Like I was born at night, but not last night. Give me a good carrot cake, says Ellie McFadden. I respect that. I think those are highly underrated. Now, I'll have to try the Dubai chocolate thing, the Dubai chocolate cupcake, but I could see that possibly pairing well with a good carrot cake. I got to do the product testing to really figure that out. Guys, you got me back at 50-50. I need someone to take a principled stand here. Where is my Kit Carson? Where is my Davy Crockett? A man or woman of principle who will break the tie. Still nothing. Still nothing. All right. Well, if it's a tie, I guess I'll go get both. Sound good? Has anyone else had sawdust pie? We got some people from that area in here. Is it good? It's got to be good. I'm guaranteeing you, I've never had them, but I'm guaranteeing you the Dubai cupcakes are good. It might require me doing this whole deal where I wake up early, not my favorite thing, and then go get them. But I'll do it if you guys vote for it. Spice cake with chocolate frosting. That is good. I've had people give me some weird looks for that. But it's a way to tell, like, are you a grown adult? Then if you are, then you will like spice cake with chocolate frosting. If you put raisins in it, it's even better. That's how you're a grown man. If I see a grown man order confetti cake or something, you know what I mean? I'm calling the cops. Let's see. Anybody else had Dubai cupcakes? They're super popular. Nobody else has had them. Well, I guess I haven't. So I feel like Pennsylvania Plowboy has had them. He's holding out on us. Elite Super Grunt? No offense, bro, but that name doesn't scream I've had Dubai cupcakes to me. But maybe I'm wrong. And I mean that as a compliment. It's a tough name. It's a tough name. Super chat, cake money. Enjoy. Oh, thank you very much. Short stories by Kate, a reliable contributor. Thank you so much. I will delegate that, or I will allocate that specifically for the Dubai chocolate cupcakes. So I think they're like $20. I don't know. I saw some dude on YouTube or something breaking them down. Like this is some of these people's job. But he got the 6-pack of the cupcakes you buy at Sam's Club, and he goes, "This was $20, but that only equals whatever, $2.50 a cupcake or something. So it's a great deal." It's like, okay, let's see. Okay, don't do that. I'm getting it for my son's birthday tomorrow. No need for the cops. Okay, good. Is it your son's birthday tomorrow? Give him a official HOKC happy birthday. Pennsylvania Plowboy, you've never heard of Dubai chocolate cupcakes or Dubai chocolate? You never heard of Dubai chocolate? I don't believe you. You're a trendier guy than we think. Elite Super Grunt says, I never said anything about cake. I don't care much for it. No, I'm just kidding. Like, because it's kind of like a fancy sounding name, So Elite Super Grunt sounds like you eat like steaks off a cutting board with like raw eggs and honey on top of them, which is good. Elite Super Grunt just says something funny. Good. That's the kind of cake I was thinking too. And good thing about that, like it's not affected by the supply chain. Dubai chocolate, maybe we won't be able to get it, but you'll always be able to get that kind of cake. So good for you. Yep. After school, we're going. Oh, Pennsylvania Plowboy. It is your son's birthday tomorrow. Going upstate for bear season so he gets cheap cake. Hey, that's cool though. A good father-son hunting trip. Is that, I don't need to pin your location down too much, but you say it's Pennsylvania Plowboy. Is that like upstate Pennsylvania? You go hunt bears up there? I know there's a bunch of them up there. Elite Super. Elite Super Grunt Dog. I need to start saving the live chat. That's hilarious. I can't like read it out loud, but that's comedy gold. If you're not easily offended, go look at Elite Super Grunt in the chat tonight. He's on fire. You're always on fire, dog. Legit, like, yeah, you bring some fire takes. So thanks for coming by. We're always glad to see you here. You're one of the names we scan the chat for sure. Dubai chocolate cupcake is winning with 9 votes. Okay, that's the one. I'm gonna be honest with you, that's the one I wanted. Though sawdust pie looks good. I'm just saying. Pennsylvania Plowboy. Okay, upstate New York or upstate Pennsylvania. Sorry. Well, best of luck. Y'all go take some bear. That was the bear was the primo game for the long hunters and the mountain men. They liked deer, they liked elk, but like no, they wanted bear because it had more fat. Oh yes, a black forest cake, Douglas Jones. A black forest cake. What is that? Like the German black forest. That sounds good. Okay, let me look that up. I'm gonna take a look real quick. I just gotta see. Black forest cake. Oh my goodness. What do we have here? It's got cocoa powder. It's got cherries in it. Boy, that is something else. Place of origin, Germany. Yeah, that is a hell of a cake. Chocolate cake with cherries. Okay. So it's kind of like you kind of see the poor imitation of that in like Baskin Robbins or, like local bakeries. Another thing I think is highly underrated is ice cream cakes. You don't hear about those as much anymore. Like, come on. Ice cream cake? Why does that not sound good to everybody? Ice cold beer? Like, that sounds great. Ice cream cake? That sounds great. Great big steak? That sounds great. Mashed potatoes. Canned bear meat is good. It melts in your mouth. I mean, like, I would have thought that was crazy before reading all the Mountain Man history. That's what I've heard. It's like really good. Have you ever listened to Steve Ranella on Meat? Oh, how am I forgetting it right now? The Steve Ranella podcast, Meat Eater. They talk about going on a hunting trip, and they all took a black bear, and they had to make this kind of impromptu grill, and they grilled it, but they didn't cook it enough, and they even made jokes while they were eating it about getting trichinosis, and they all got trichinosis, and that's a bad thing to have. It haunts you for a long time. DQ cakes are the best. DQ is an American treasure. They are an institution that can be counted on. Comic Dog says German chocolate cake. German chocolate cake, maybe Texas sheet cake is my favorite, but German chocolate cake is second because it's just people. I had people rag me my whole life. Oh, it's too rich. Well, like maybe you're not rich enough. You know what I'm saying? Like it's too rich. It's too rich for you. We live in the most opulent country in the world, and this cake is too rich for you. It's disgusting. It's a disgusting thing to insinuate. It's phenomenal. It's got that carameliness. It's got the coconut, the chocolate. It's often got pecans. I don't know what else you want. Let's see. That's my rant, though. You guys, you brought the vote back to 50%. I thought I was going to a Sam's Club. I don't even have a Sam's Club membership, and I'm down to go. But we'll do a sawdust pie. I guess I'm making clear who I want to win, but let's see. German chocolate pie. German chocolate pie is so delicious. Exactly. It's a profiling tool in my view. I get a German chocolate cake. I bring it to a party. I see who eats it. Those are the cool people. Those are the people that do not get put on the watch list. Too rich. That's why we have black coffee. There are some degenerates out there who don't drink their coffee black, though. I also don't agree with that. I don't want to live in an overly litigious country, okay? But there are times where it's appropriate to report people to the authorities. And that's one of them. Douglas Jones. Kate. Douglas Jones agreeing with Kate. That's why Yes, that's why we have black coffee. Exactly. Okay. Really, the sawdust pie. Well, we're looking for new pie recipes too. There's a sawdust pie, right? There's one that has just come out that I'm not going to go eat, but it's a Baja Blast pie at Taco Bell. You guys seen this? You seen this? You heard about this? It's the Baja Blast, which I never drank, I never liked, but all my friends liked it in the early 2000s. Everybody loved the Baja Blast at Taco Bell because even foodies love Taco Bell. Seems like food people just love Taco Bell. I got nothing against Taco Bell. I'm just saying Baja Blast wasn't for me. But they made it into this kind of cheesecake concoction it's like neon blue, not even that. It's like neon turquoise. Clearly an artificial thing, right? Like it's a creation of man for sure. But you can get it for $20 at a Taco Bell, and everybody that's tried it, they're all the weirdos themselves, but they've tried it and they said they love it. It's like a key lime pie with a citrus overtone or something. It's like it looks gross, and then they dip it in the actual Baja Blast, and it's like, okay, that right there is proof that we live in the most opulent era in human history. So why you're eating that and not German chocolate cake, I don't know. But they love it. People love the Baja Blast cake. And I'm not putting that on the options, guys. I just can't do that. I couldn't get one down. I just couldn't get a bite down. Let's see. What do you guys think? Would you try a Baja? I know some of you in here would try a Baja Blast pie. Pennsylvania Plowboy says, yeah, they say it's like a kiwi lime pie. That's right. Kiwi. That's the word. That's what I was looking for. Pennsylvania Plowboy, would you eat one? Like seriously, like, because people really like it. If you like the Baja Blast, people are giving no BS like high marks to this. Yeah, I would try it, says Pennsylvania Plowboy. It's a little steep on the cost though, right? Like $20 for this, but it's like a big pie. So sorry, the Baja Blast, stories by Kate. Baja Blast was a like mandatory at Taco Bell, especially in the early 2000s. It was the drink so many people got, especially like young guys in the early 2000s. They just lived and died by Baja Blast. Comic Dog says, a coworker told me his number 2 was the same color as the pie afterwards. Dude, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that that's literally true. This is an unnatural color, but it's a very popular flavor. And I heard about it coming out and I thought, no, nobody's going to like that. These people love it. I'm not a fan of the drink. I'm a straight Mountain Dew guy. Would bleed yellow number 3. I mean, is there a Mountain Dew pie though? It sounds like if they're going to make a Baja Blast pie, a Mountain Dew pie would be certainly permissible, right? That's within the realm of possibility. Man, maybe I'm still hillbilly, but I would eat a Coca-Cola pie. I don't feel good. A Dr. Pepper pie? Dang, I would eat that. I'm a Brahms guy, says Blue Kachina. Brahms is legit. Can't miss with Brahms. Let's see. I never have had a Carvel cake. I heard everybody on the East Coast rave about those. Got to have that old-fashioned food coloring. I'm going to call RFK Jr. on you. You see Cheetos took their coloring out and it's just like a pale fried blob. It does look healthier though. All right, guys, I'm waiting for the tie to be broken here. We're at 45% sawdust pie, 45% Dubai chocolate. Coffee and Diet Coke here. That's a breakfast of champions. I haven't had a Diet Coke in a while. Once you lose the tolerance for them, it's tough to get back on. I was drinking those nonstop though. What's Brahms? Brahms is an ice cream and cake company, right? Oh, you guys, somebody swayed. You guys are trying to mess with me. They swayed the vote to sawdust pie. I'll make it happen. Let's give it another. All right, we'll give it another 5 minutes. We'll close the vote at an hour 30, and we'll just roll with whatever the results say. If I can't find one, I'll make one. It'll probably look like hell, but we'll get the point across. Yeah, so we'll also, in the meantime, we'll go over some of the stuff we got coming up. Before I do, Blue Kachina says Brahms is still family owned, sells the best raw hamburger, 100 effing percent. Really? I wish they did that here. Even HEB. I love HEB, but the beef prices are getting crazy. I eat a lot of beef because it's what's for dinner. Sawdust pie creeping up to 50%. Yeah. So what we got coming up is the Marine compilation. And we have, I talked about this, the Bigfoot Wallace episode is in the works. We have an episode in Austin, Texas that happens. I live in kind of South Austin. South Austin's a relative term. But this would happen basically in downtown Austin today, kind of like on the hipster east side. And that's where the Ranger Fort was located. And they find and engage this roving raiding band of Comanche, kind of like by where the Google building is today, like not far from where the Google building is. So pit of hell. Just kidding. But it's a really cool one for me because I can go to the actual location. So sometime, I think maybe Sunday I can do this. Go to the actual location and live stream from there for at least a little bit Sunday afternoon. And go to the actual location of the fort. The location of the fort is obviously not there anymore, but they recorded where they buried the unalived Rangers from the battle and from a couple other battles that happened around here. And I've kind of triangulated it to this Popeye's chicken parking lot. So I want to go there, maybe grab some chicken, talk some history with a live stream there. That's like, both of those are not far. So we can make that happen this weekend. So that's coming up. We have a couple longer ones coming on the tribes, on the Blackfoot, the Comanche, some of the Plains Wars, a longer one on the history of California, plenty of Texas stuff. And like I said, okay, guys, I got it noted down. Ohio stuff. We're going to toss some Ohio stuff in there. Douglas Jones says, I tell my Marine brothers they are just a department of the Navy. They say, yeah, the men's department. Love my jarhead brothers. You always have good banter back and forth between the services. As an outsider looking in, it's like, oh, you guys, that's funny. You guys got a real sense of humor developed between each other that we can't take part in as civilians, but we can laugh a little bit. Let's see. Well, yeah, the corpsmen that go over from the Navy, right? Like you guys, you love the corpsmen. Thanks for the Ohio history, says Comic Dog. I'll be on the lookout for the home state history. Yeah, for sure. And I'll throw that into some live streams as well. Let's see. Guilty Sawdust. Ellie McFadden says Sawdust Pie looks great. It does, right? Not the best name, but sounds great. Comic Dog says, gonna go read some comics later, y'all. Later, dog. Come on back tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Terry R, $5 super chat. Have to check out, but a small super chat so we can keep this up. Have a great show. This is a great show and a great audience. I agree completely, wholeheartedly. Thank you so much, Terry R. Have a good night. Really, really appreciate you coming by. That's another regular for us, Terry R. Sawdust. I love old hippies. Yeah, you know what? Old hippies. I like being around them for a couple hours and then I got to go. But for a couple hours, yeah. The bravest Marines are Navy corpsmen. Few Marines argue. Yeah, I don't know that, right? But I have a friend who's a corpsman who's a solid dude. One of the bravest dudes I know. I'd trust him, that's for sure. Yeah, I noticed the inter-service rivalry has that little caveat where they're like, no, we love the corpsmen, but the rest of you are going to banter back and forth. I was saying, though, it's really interesting to look at the old Navy pictures from Civil War era, really when they first were able to have pictures. And you can usually see the Marine contingent with the different hats off to the side and organized in lines. It's really interesting when you know what it is. All right. Scrolling through the chat, making sure I didn't miss anybody. I think we covered everything that's coming up. Well, kind of like the next week. Yeah, I'm going to do a live stream on some stuff from the Korean War too. Trying to think of other stuff. Oh yeah, we have samurai stuff coming up, and several other things that are just kind of skipping my mind, but promise, just stay tuned, stay subscribed, keep the notifications on, and you will get a ton of stuff that we got coming up, and we're excited to bring you. Ellie McFadden says, got to go see you all tomorrow. Iron Men on wooden ships, says Douglas Jones. Bye, Ellie. We'll see you tomorrow. Come back for lunch. All right. And oh my gosh, guys, we are at the hour 30-minute mark. We're going to close the poll. It says sawdust pie. I thought you were going to give me an excuse to go get Dubai chocolate cupcakes. Now I'll have to just go get them on my own. Sawdust pie, though, I'm psyched for. We can make this happen. I'm going to look for it in Austin. If I can't find it, I will make it myself, but hopefully I can find it. Do you have any episodes on the samurai? I do. We have, we do, on Musashi and the boat oar fight, which is a really fascinating story. We'll do a live stream on that. That way we can kind of give you a precursor on that episode. But it's from probably 2 years ago, so you can find it in our feed. Musashi and the boat oar fight. In DNP 25. Oh, wow. The $20 super chat. Buy both. Oh, thank you. So you know what? We'll bring both. We'll pick a day. I'll let you guys know, and I'll bring both with that. Thank you so much. So you know what your money's going to. Thank you very much. That's too kind of you. And I'm looking forward to that, honestly. Like, I was wanting to get both. So cool, man. We'll make that happen. I'll put up maybe we can do it like right before Thanksgiving, something like that. That way I feel less guilty about my gluttony. Thank you, though. That's awesome. Now I got to track down a sawdust pie, and we're going to make it happen. I'm honestly surprised that sawdust pie won, but shows me you guys are free thinkers. Enjoy. We'll be watching. Thank you so much, NDNP 25. And I'll put links in the chat when we do it about either where there's a recipe where you can make your own or go find your own Dubai chocolate cupcakes. The boat oar fight was an awesome episode, Douglas Jones says. Thank you very much. I had a lot of fun doing that one. I want to do more on the samurai because it's the same concepts all over, right? And it's whether it's Wild West cowboys or samurai, it's the same type of guy, and the conflict is conflict. So it's interesting to cover it all. Okay, so we're going to start wrapping it up here. We're at an hour 30. Give you guys a chance to enjoy your night. I am going to go get back to work. I'm going to work on the scripts, got to do a voiceover, shoot a video, and get our shorts in line for tomorrow. So we got that coming up. I'm fine. I'm a night guy, so I work at night. Then after that, we got to go track down a sawdust pie and a Dubai chocolate cupcake. I know where that's at. Sam's Club. We got to track down the sawdust pie. The warrior's mentality is a global thing, Douglas Jones says. It is. Timeless thing. All right, so I think we got everybody. All right, so I am off to track down the sawdust pie and put a down payment on the Dubai chocolate cupcakes. And we will be back tomorrow. I will be back tomorrow at noon. Somewhere you'll see the notification go live. Come have some coffee with us. Not sure what we're going to be talking about yet, but it'll be something cool. And we got the episode coming out on Saturday. If you're a member, you can join down below. It's like $1 or $2 a month. You'll get the episode early tomorrow. And I think that's all we got. Thank you all again for tuning in. Have a wonderful night, and God bless. Bye.